Yeah, yeah. Wow, man. And I mean, so this is kind of like what I guess what I want to draw your attention to is not a you don't have to like attempt to find heat. You
Yeah,
have it
yeah,
within, right? So when you do this, it's kind of like I'm like, okay, let's get down to the brass tacks. We don't need to
yeah.
do this. You have it within you. And what happened was through the respiration and the
Hmm.
way that I just subtly like attuned you,
Mm.
you turned on your energetic body, right?
Yes.
So your energetic body was there. And then just from me bringing your attention to that space, and you could feel that it's kind of like a different sort of scenario rather than I'm focusing my attention to create an energy ball. It was just there. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So you
absolutely.
moved into the mass, the center of mass, and if you had to spend a little bit more time there, you would start to feel the subtleties of his auric field as it continues to transmit outward, which is taking place all the time. Like if you spend you're such a fast learner that you start doing that, and even if and he's making it very clear, you can start training with him on these type of subtleties at your own choosing. Go
Yeah.
take a prayer with him, and he will make himself present very clearly, and then you can start training with his energy. And so
100%.
that's kind of like that's super cool, man. I love that energy. I love he's great. And what does he represent in relation to from your practice? From is it would you refer to it as a Hindu?
Obviously, now in India, Ganesh is pray like obviously we pray him, and but obviously throughout the world in various cultures, people worship him in different forms. So especially uh, in places like Indonesia, Malaysia, even there, and also in Egypt, also Indian culture has a lot of relationship with the Egyptian culture. So obviously, but through time that separation has been created, which makes us think that this god or goddesses is only with respect to one certain culture, but obviously they are throughout the world. For example, Lord Shiva, he is worshipped throughout the world and in different forms as well. So obviously you've seen that there are many ancient temples even in United States. There are few ancient temples like this Angkor Wat temple.
Hmm. Yeah,
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 yeah, that
yeah,
one. And obviously, so we
yeah.
just to make that connections and create that map to see how back in time that goes, and obviously that all connects to a single source from where it's coming. So
Yeah, it's interesting because I was just recently at because I'm out of Nevada, so Las Vegas is my major city. So I go down there all the time. I live outside of Las Vegas, but um, I was in a hotel. Have you ever heard of the Luxor Hotel in Las Vegas?
no.
It's like shaped like a pyramid. So it's like the
Oh.
Luxor is like an Egyptian like city or something like that. So they have this pyramid, and so I
Mhm.
went in there and I measured all the hot spots, and I made a video on my YouTube channel explaining to people all the energetic hotspots where you can go and sample the different frequencies, the different spirit entities, all the things that are housed within that sacred space. And we
Mm.
discovered, ancient American Indian burial grounds. There was a culmination between Egyptian spirits and immortals that were conflicting with the American Indians. So there was a culmination of the two that was taking place on that ground. And so I shared with the audience and taught them how to tap into that energy. And people could now go there at will and sample the hotspots of where they are within the Luxor Hotel. And I'm going to go around most of Las Vegas doing this. It's like people want to experience it. You know what I mean? So when you go and if you ever watch that video, you with your sensory perception will be able to feel that within. It's just like now you kind of like just dropping in. You're already dropping in. You might say hello, goodbye, goes off somewhere at this point, man. Your skill set is so refined that you're already sort of getting into that trance-like state. It's happening very quickly for you, man. And I mean, that's part of the mastery. It's like watching that is like kind of beautiful to see. It's
Mm.
part of the mastery of all things. But now you can train with Ganesh and
Yeah,
acquire
I'll try.
that perception, which
Mm.
is amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah,
He's incredible. I mean, how many thousands of years do you think he's been around? He's been around thousands.
obviously, thousands of years. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
He's talking kind of consciously from conception in excess of about 30 to 40,000 years, which I
Mm.
find kind of insane. But a lot of people don't understand, even from Chinese history, people don't realize that the Yellow Emperor and the Jade Emperor, that are the constructs of the universe that were transmuted into human form and were generated as a representation that created Chinese culture as we know it today.
Mhm.
That was 10,
Mm.
20,000 years ago. The
Mm.
universe connected and created the transmutation of that. And so,
Yes.
as you mentioned, the Big Bang, which I find really interesting because um, we have a sort of certain magical scepters that we use, magical tools to create magic within Taoism. And this goes across the board for all belief systems, religions, mastery, energetics. These are taking place all the time. So we use a Ryu, a Ru Yi, and it has at the head of the scepter, it has a shape that is almost identical to, and it is
Mhm.
actually reference to, what? What's
Mm.
what's the true essence of all creation?
Yeah.
What is it? You know, the uterus.
Mm.
To create human life is the most magical thing that you could do as a human being. So that
Yeah.
uterus is a entry point, and the metaphor, right, saying that the Big Bang. What a funny joke, right? The creation of the universe, right?
Yeah.
And so from creating life, and Taoists talk about numerology. We use numerology in all our astrology. When I use constellations within the stepping magic of Taoism, we talk about the uterus being the universe. Does that make sense? It's
Yeah.
kind of like on a much deeper level. So that Ru Yi, that Ryu, which is the double meaning, is a scepter that you use within magical practices to generate higher ascension from the constellation, which is paralleled with the Earth. So the
Yeah.
stars match with the Earth, which you understand this,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
which is just something else. I'm so blown away and impressed by how sensitive you are to these areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, did it take you a long time to acquire that skill?
I don't know. Actually, for me, actually, things came very naturally to me. Compared to, if I compare with other people's journey, things happen to me very naturally. Obviously, some things you also carry from the past life, something like that. People say, but but yeah.
It's crazy how in tune you are. And so let's get back to your astral plane training, and then the lucid dreaming, and then meditation. I think that would be a very important skill that most people do not have. Just foundational meditation practices, right?
Yeah. Also, one thing about lucid dreaming is that, so one uh, amazing thing you could do is that once you are in the lucid dreaming world, obviously you could control your dream and redirect it the way you want to experience it. Now let's consider you want to manifest going on a vacation. That obviously you could do through some manifestation technique, but how do you do it through lucid dreaming? So how do you manifest through lucid dreaming? Now, once you can control your dream, for example, you are in your dream world and you're aware, and you are in some place, maybe you are in your same very room. Now, you say that I want to be in this vacations experience which I want to manifest, and instantly that reality is created in your dream. And now you are in that vacation and you are experiencing that. And through that experience, you are increasing your level of consciousness and making it manifest even faster in your physical reality. So, whatever you want to manifest or any version within you that you want to develop, you enter the dream and you live that experience even easily, because you could create it super easily in your dream world, and through that you're learning and projecting and reflecting that in your physical reality, which is a very powerful way to manifest or to become a better version of you.
Right.
Yeah. I
So,
also
go ahead. Go ahead. No, I want to hear.
also athletes, they train themselves in the lucid dreaming world to run that extra mile or to do more push-ups, where through that dream you are rewiring the neurons in your brain and making it happen in the physical reality as well. So that's a very powerful practice which sometimes even I do to manifest from my lucid dreaming world, which I also teach to people as well to do it that way.
Yeah, no, that's very, very powerful. So let's talk about your astral plane traveling. I there the framework of multidimensional uh, uh, in most cases, most people, it's conceptual in relation to the realms of physics and the science and the universe and all of the above. It comes down to a framework of, you know, the mathematical binary code of zeros and ones, and what do we translate this into invalidated, you know, formulas, right? But the
Mm.
reality is when you're astroplane traveling, I've gone to, people talk about 11 dimensions. I have to confess that that's not that's not technically very accurate from my perspective. I've gone and explored as many as 30, over 30 dimensions. So the limit is you.
Yeah.
You know? So when you're going and you're looking at the construct and you're shifting from a 3 to a 4 to a 5D reality, and all of a sudden that fifth dimensional reality is now, it's now pliable. So how do we manifest? How do we heal? How do we create in that fifth dimensional reality? Well, all of the above, everything becomes 100% sensory. This physical body is the tuning fork. As much as you go, I'm out of it, I don't need it, that's the simulator that's recording your experience to make it real to you. As much
Mm.
as you're out of your body, this is the anchor to this 3D reality. And
Yeah.
so when I explore outside this realm, it reaches to states of, you know, the universe, from Earth to the universe to a higher layer, which then you hit a threshold that takes you into this phosphorus white light. It's almost like dipping past the silver lining. It's like it's as if the universe, it doesn't stop, but it transmutes into complete white light. And then
Mm.
from that, I travel for what seems like days, and then I go into complete darkness again. And this goes on quite often, many times over, until I hit another state or another, what I've considered as a tangible dimension. They're all dimensions, but the tangible dimension that all of a sudden now I'm experiencing interactions with a whole new world.
Yeah.
And what about yourself? How has it been for you?
Obviously, now every time you astral project, you learn something new. Okay. So also sometimes you bring back those senses to this physical dimension. For example, in physical body you have five physical senses: touching, smelling, hearing, tasting, whatever. In the same way, your astral body also has a few senses. For example, telepathy, clairvoyance, sixth sense, intuition, also your subtle body. So these are all non-physical sensors. Obviously with astral body, this is in a more active zone. So when you astral project and you be there for a period of time, and when you come back to this physical dimension, you're integrating those non-physical sensors with your physical experience. So that is one reason why I've become very sensitive to energies, or sometimes I, through my bare eyes, I could see things moving around me, spirits, or I could feel energies very clearly when I'm at a certain place. And experience being there, obviously there are many crazy experiences I had. Obviously sometimes I've been in the sky, I try to go to space, but obviously you, when you go and shoot up, that is a very difficult scenario to handle your astral body sometimes. So obviously see, all you have to do is just set an intention to be there. So you just shoot up. Sometimes you shoot up, sometimes you consciously go up. So consciously going up is a bit difficult compared to just shooting up. So that was one crazy experience I had. And once, one more thing crazy about astral projection is that, let's consider you are astral projecting and someone is sleeping beside you. You could see their astral body floating above, as I mentioned earlier. Now you can wake them up in their astral body. So you can wake their astral body up and you can make them also astral project. I'm sure you know this. So once I had this experience where I was sleeping, it was around like 5:30 a.m. in the morning, and I didn't do any astral projection. It was just a normal day. I was just sleeping. Suddenly I woke up in my astral body in this very room, and I was seeing that I was in my astral body, and I see that there were this mini gray beings. I'm sure you heard this mini grays who are just tiny, 1 to 2 feet in height. They were all around in my room, like surrounding my entire room. They were all around, and they were just watching me. And I just freaked out. I got very scared because obviously when you're sleeping and you wake up suddenly and you see people standing around you, obviously you'll be like, what really happened? Why are there people standing? Imagine you being in your astral body and watching all these gray beings. I freaked out and I instantly snapped back into my physical body, and I woke up in my physical body to see nothing was there. Then I realized that these gray beings woke me up in my astral body to communicate with me, but obviously I kind of messed it up by being scared. That was one of the craziest experience I had. And after that, obviously, I realized that just like how we want to communicate with them, even they want to communicate with us, but they just make sure that we are ready for that experience. After that, there were other experiences as well where these other beings woke me up. Sometimes I see them, sometimes I don't see them, but I got used to it that okay, they're trying to communicate with me and I need to be stable enough to initiate that contact. So this is another crazy experience with them.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And so, what would you say? This today has been really amazing. The information you're sharing with the audience and all the things that you're doing. Um, I'm going to put all your information and social under the page here on YouTube. What are you currently working on? What do you want to share with the world right now in relation to your journey, your mastery, your teachings? Tell us more about where we can find you, all your information, where you can get direct access to your mastery. Yeah, please share.
So yeah, obviously I've got an Instagram page by now. Obviously, you all know, and Conscious Living 117. So I teach these all practices personally and also through group session. So if you would like to learn from me, I teach 4 practices that are manifestation, astral projection, lucid dreaming, and meditation. So all you have to do is just send me a message, and I'll be sharing the details and teaching you directly. And obviously also exploring my page would give you good insight onto understanding what I am and who I am. I'm sure you'll get a better understanding. So yeah, that's pretty much I teach. And obviously apart from that, I'm trying to learn more and get more into spirituality, trying to explore deeper aspects of spirituality. So yeah, let's see. There's so much
Yeah,
to, yeah.
yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot. There's so much incredible stuff out there, right? And
Yeah.
you've got some incredible beings around you that are operating. You have at least 4 to 7 guides around you at all times that you're tapping into information of. They're in your auric field right now.
Actually, yeah, actually, this even I do agree because I see a lot of spirits in my room, and because sometimes I see things moving around me and just as quickly vanish. You see this like a flyer, small, like an orb, like like a small blue orb just flying in front of you and just disappear. So it's more of just trying to grab your attention. I'm there, something
It's
like
very,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's what we call a glimpse when your clairvoyant senses turn on. So for
Mm,
me, when I look at you, I see your aura. I see
mm,
all the colors. You're emitting different frequencies of colors and information. So I can see the color of your organs. And how I read someone's mental emotional state is I go through their organs, and whatever they're excessive or deficient of, within that organ, there is a virtue and an emotion that's attached. And it
Mm,
presents itself to me so I can share with the individual their mental, emotional, and physical state just from looking at them. So
mhm.
that's where you get the information. Most of what it's really funny because it seems to be a repetitive thing, but looking at emotional state. Would you like me to read your aura?
Yeah, sure, sure, sure.
Yeah, yeah. So right now, your aura is sort of like a sort of a magenta pink color, and you have a golden halo. And what's most interesting is your energy centers are aligned, but you have a little bit of a blockage in the sixth, right? So this is
Yeah.
the one that's a little, yeah, you have a blockage in the sixth. When it comes to mental emotional state, the emotions that plague you more than anything is anxiety, and then it comes into fear, and then it results back to, you know, anger. Now, this is not a representation of your personality, it's just where they're excessive of. And so what happens is for the audience, when you're looking at this, you go, wow, well, how could that be? Because every day you're tuning yourself to certain things in your life. And so these
Mm,
emotions can represent themselves fluctuating at all times. And so when Ram's doing his practice, he's cleansing and amplifying himself to attune himself to the highest level. So for him to hit the ascension level where he's taking an astral plane, all that emotional stuff just disappears. Like we talk about, it's the lowest level. But does this make sense to you? What I
yeah, yeah.
explained?
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Actually, my third eye center is super active. Like, it's like overactive, which also sometimes we could call it as a block. And that is one reason why I have this very experiences. Once I had this experience when I was in my classroom,
Mhm.
and my third eye opened. It was more like, there's a giant hole here, and someone took a blower machine and just blowing air, and like air is coming out. That was one of the most intense experience I ever had of my third eye opening. I had
Right.
no idea why that was happening, but I realized that this is something which is super active and I need to control it.
Well, it just represents itself, right? So when you look at the actual centers, like if we're representing your energy centers, your chakras, the
Mm,
first chakra is middle of the road. So boundary setting is not so much a concern of yours. You don't construct things where you're too personal, where you don't want people to know anything about you, but you do share somewhat. But then the second energy center or the second chakra, the sexual energy, is quite vibrant. You have quite a large libido. You're very, very active. Does this make sense?
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and so the third one is a very vibrant yellow color. Actually, when you're looking at the diaphragm for a Taoist, it's called the yellow court, the solar plexus, which you would call your third chakra, right? So you
Mm,
have your perineum, which is the first chakra. Then the second chakra is the sexual energy. The third chakra is the basically what we call the yellow court. And so this is where all the emotions are stored, and then they transmute into whatever organs that they're going to reside in, depending upon the excessive emotion, right?
mm,
And so
mm,
yours sort of fluctuates. There's a few things that are stored there right now. So the color sort of goes from vibrant yellow to a little bit of an orange to a brown color, and it sort of fluctuates, which has all got to do with emotional content. As about to the heart is extremely pink. So when we're looking at the hue of the sun and the light waves of the sun, right? This is the center of the rainbow, right? Which is your heart chakra, right?
mm,
And so
mm,
what would be a perfect balance would be a greeny pink color. It's extremely pink, which is not a negative, yet
mm.
has a lot to do with where you are in your emotional state in relation to how you share how you really feel, which is sort of that's where you're protective. You
Mm.
protect yourself from revealing the true inner workings. Does this make any sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then of course the fifth chakra, the blue one. This is an interesting one. You walk a very fine line. So when we talk about speaking the truth, you have you like to work in integrity. You're very cut and dry. It's black and white for you. You can be in duality. It's like it is or it isn't. You're
Yeah,
you're not you don't you don't you don't you don't kind of like people that are not truthful.
yeah,
Does this make sense?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Does that freak you out that I could share this information or no?
No, 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 you can share, obviously. It's
Well,
always
what is
good
it?
to
Yeah, what does it feel like that someone can share more about you and I don't know you? This is the first time we met.
know. It's just knowing uh, myself from a different perspective. And obviously, I do resonate with what you say. And with respect to the throat chakra, which you told, that is absolutely true. Because it's obviously extreme. Sometimes, if I have to speak out the truth, I just say it very bluntly that I have to express it. And I don't want to just store that within me. So, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and this is just all information. It's out there. I'm able to see it, and so the
Mm,
information just bubbles up, and that color is representative. So that
mm,
color is a very vibrant blue color, and
mm.
that's because it's you don't mess around with people that are in the gray area. You either tell the truth or you're not so interested
Yeah,
in
I'm not interested. I
truthful.
realized that there's no point of talking to a person who doesn't understand what you want to try to, or who doesn't want to listen to. So obviously before I used to have this mindset that, oh, I'm spiritual, this person is not trying to understand. But then I got to know that every person has their own stage to evolve. Maybe this is not their lifetime to know all these things. So just live it.
Right, right,
Yeah, this is a
completely.
very important thing I learned. Obviously a lot of people complain when they come into spirituality that, oh, I'm spiritual, oh, this person is not identifying his truth. But it doesn't work that way. Obviously, even before I coming into spirituality, I know all meditation exists, yoga exists, all the maybe not much about dimensions, but a glimpse. But I never had that motive to explore it unless I had this astral travel experience. So everyone has their own calling and their own journey to explore. So that is one reason why, if I find a person who I can talk with these things in the first meeting and I open up everything that I know, like now how we are meeting. But if I feel it's not worth, I just try to be quiet, not talking.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's interesting. How are you working on because when I'm looking at the elements, and this is just within the Chinese model, I don't know how you would approach it within your system. But when I look at the excess, if the spleen is excess, the kidney is deficient. And there's a lot of emotional sadness that you stuff down there. And that's your lung channel. And that's being representative by the color. So that's stagnant. Does this make any sense to you?
Yeah, kind of, it does make sense. Even that is a thing even I am working on. So that blockage even I am working on. So I do agree with that.
I get amazed every day because I see this stuff and I teach people this stuff. And when like you and I have met for the first time today, to be able to see this and share it with you and not know you from anything,
Hmm.
creates awareness. It creates awareness for you. Every time I do it, it creates awareness for me. It's like the first time I ever did it. It's like, whoa, whoa, because it's just information, but it's
Yeah,
exciting for me. It excites me to be able to tap in to that sensory perception. Does that make sense?
yeah. There's always something that we need to work on always. So, oh yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. The mastery is there, my friend. I'm very grateful that the universe has brought me a new friend. I'm very excited. Maybe sometime you can come out here to America. Do you ever come to America?
No, I haven't, but I'm sure things will happen when I had to. Because I've got a lot of friends there, just like how I met you. There's so many people I've met online through whom I share all these things. So yeah, obviously there's so many, I think this spiritual retreats there that happen in this, bigger level. Even that I want to experience at some point. So let's
Yeah,
see.
we can set it up because I'm setting up a consciousness
Hmm.
expo at in Las Vegas for next year. So I would
Oh,
love you to come to that, be a part of that. It's about opening people's minds, my friend. So I'm going to put that invitation out to you now. I'm going to start framing it out more, and then you can have more of an understanding, and you now have a purpose and reason to be out here. Teach
yeah,
people, teach people. We'll work it out, my friend. We will work it out. So in closing, what would you say is the most guidance, the best guidance that you could give someone learning the mastery that you have, the refining the skills that you have? What would you leave the audience with in relation to a tip, a trick, or a way of looking at this whole thing, and a starting point for someone that has never had an out of body experience, has never trained in astral plane traveling? Where would you start? What's your advice?
so coming to the general guidance I would give is that everything comes by asking out questions, like deeper questions of what's really out there, who am I, and what is beyond the terms we are programmed to be. So my journey only started when I started to question things. It's not that always sometimes someone telling you or not, that doesn't bring you back into the path of who you truly are. But you asking out deeper questions and you finding out the answers, that is where the actual exploration begins. So I would just say people that just try to ask out some deeper questions, and in the process of answering them you will start to do your own research and you will find out who you truly are. So, and also with respect to spirituality in general, it's not something that you only read somewhere. It's also something that you experience from within. And also if you're reading it somewhere, always reading it from a standard book or some standard reference is always recommended. Especially with astral projection, there's so much myths on internet telling that it's dangerous, it shouldn't be done. But from my experience, that's absolutely false statements to do, because it's there in Indian scriptures. There are hundreds of books, there are scientific researches, everything is there. It's just that you need to invest your time into finding the right source. It's just like you will never learn to drive a car or take an advice from a person who never drove a car. You will only learn it from a professional, right? Same with astral projection and with any spiritual practice. Obviously, if you ask a normal person about kundalini energy or chakras or astral projection, they will say that, oh, that is dangerous because that is how we are programmed to be by the matrix. So it is always important that understand, see, everything is already within you. And we hear stories of great sages, of Buddhist monks tapping into their superpower. Even they started as a baby and you also started as a baby. If they can get there, even you can get there. So it's all about believing and doing your own research. Obviously you want to dive into it or not, it's completely up to you, but at least you put in some effort to learn and research, right? Nothing is going to go wrong if you just try to read few books or do some research or talk to people who are in the similar field. So obviously that's what I would encourage people to do, is that ask out these deeper questions and try to explore more, and I'm sure you'll find your way.
Well, my friend, I've got to thank you for sharing your time with the audience and spending time with me, and creating this new friendship. I just feel very grateful that the universe, or you refer to Shiva, is that parallel to like Buddhasava? Uh, how would you define that from a God perspective in relation to Hinduism?
Shiva, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Shiva, now basically Shiva, when we say, now every name has a meaning. Okay, my name has a meaning, your name should have meaning, right? In the same way, the word Shiva also has a meaning. Shiva directly translates to that which is not. That which is not. So in that nothingness there is something that you will experience when you tap into it. So in Sanskrit we call it the shunya state. The shunya means the dimension of pure nothingness. That is what Shiva's pure form is. So Shiva is not only a god or a person that we see, but Shiva is also a dimension that you tap into through a certain practice.
So it's
So
all things.
yeah, so
It's all.
Shiva is not only a person. Shiva is a state that that person has tapped into. So when we hear the story of Shiva, obviously there is no definite answer for that. But reading scriptures, it's told that at some point Shiva also was a human like us, an ordinary being who tried to develop himself through different lifetimes. And Shiva is a state he reached to. It's not a name, it's a state you reach into. Even you can reach Shiva, even you can become Shiva when you completely become one with that dimension of pure nothingness, which is that shunya state. So when we say that which is not, in that nothingness there is something that you will tap into when you experience it. So that is what I refer to as Shiva.
It's mind blowing, because when we talk about the Tao, the Tao is the way, right? And so
Mhm.
we speak of Wu Wei, which is effortless action, and we
Mhm.
speak of Wu Ji, which is the stillness between the breath in and the breath out. And the
Mhm.
way to, and within the scripture of the Tao Te Ching of Taoism, the first verse, which is the first incantation of that magical register, we speak on the way to walk is not the way. And
Mhm.
so when you understand that on a much deeper level, it's very reminiscent of what you speak of within your own practice and your own belief system, because it's within the nothingness that everything is expressed. So the stillness between the breath in and the breath out is the mother of all things, which is the Tao. Does this make sense? Which
Yeah.
is, it's like I'm listening to you, I'm like, wow, there's this incredible parallel.
Yeah,
And this
obviously.
is transmutation, right? The transmutation of the universe, creating these different dimensions of consciousness, so that you and I, and how I define consciousness is, you're sitting at one end of the table, I'm sitting at the other. And in the middle, we have an orange. And you
Hmm.
see the orange one way, I see the orange another way, but it's all the same consciousness.
Yeah, same.
Does that
Yeah,
make sense? Yeah.
100%.
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. So, where does Bodhisattva work in? The Buddha, Bodhisattva, is that a different um, um,
Bud-
god?
Buddha is actually told to be the ninth avatar of Lord Vishnu. I'm sure you know that Lord Vishnu takes avatars at different times in different phases of Earth, different times of Earth, and Buddha is told to be the ninth avatar of Vishnu. And Buddha is more of that calm, composed person, and obviously Buddha also relates to Buddhism also. So obviously there are again parallels again between different cultures. So yeah,
That's so cool.
yeah.
That's really cool. Again, my friend, I want to thank you for sharing your time with the audience. I want to thank you for your mastery and your incredible insight and your inspiration and your motivation for all people that you share it with. And I'm looking forward to doing this again really soon. And I'm really excited for the audience to be able to discover you, to look at your work, to get involved with you, have you give them guidance, and have them awaken to this level of consciousness, because that's what we're doing here. It's all about leveling up. And you and I are the same. We're cut from the same cloth. The old expression, you are me, I am you. What is there
Yeah,
to be afraid of? What is there to be fearful of? You
yeah,
know, we are as one. We are as
yeah,
one. So,
yeah.
again, thank you, brother. Very
Much,
grateful.
yeah.
Very, very grateful. Very, very grateful. And I want to thank the audience for sharing their time with us today. And I am your humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master San Quinn, and I will see you on the next one, guys.
Thank you. Bye.